News from the world of sports.
We've all heard about it as of now, especially being a basketball fan. If you haven't heard, CP3 is apparently hanging it up after he got waived by the Toronto Raptors. Uriah, man, this was big news, or is this just one of those things that no one picked him up? Did the NBA retire him, or what is this all about? Is this real or not?
Wow, I just know that Chris Paul, being from North Carolina, obviously a Wake Forest product, we actually compared him in season 2 of NBA Now and Then. We compared him to Jason Kidd. Look, some players don't like him. The thing with Rondo was always kind of fascinating to watch. But as far as his legacy, the guy is a bona fide star. He is a bona fide quality human being with a lot of the philanthropy that he's done throughout his entire career. President of the Players Association for multiple years. The guy has a legacy, and you can't dismiss what he's brought to the league. As far as the retirement thing, I didn't see it coming. I'm not surprised because, I mean, he's pushing 40. If not, he's 40 years old. I would have liked to have seen him get a chance to win a championship, but yeah, I'm as shocked as you guys are.
Yeah, man, dude, super shocked. At first, I just want to talk about his game. Guy was a floor general on the court, a coach on the court, really. He was a great scorer in his early years, you know, when he went in Charlotte, when he went to LA, obviously in the decline with LA, then he started moving to OKC, then went to Houston or the other way around, and you know, he almost got a shot at trying to play for a championship for real. First time around, he did have a second time around with Phoenix. Obviously didn't really happen the way they wanted to, but dude, 12-time All-Star, 5-time assist champ, 6-time steal champ, 11-time All-NBA, 2005-06 All-Rookie Team, 2005-06 Rookie of the Year, 9-time All-Defensive Team, a member of the NBA 75th All-Time Club, and a 2012 All-Star MVP, man. And just to say all that, the fact that how these teams treated him at the end, dismissing him from the LA Clippers, getting him traded to the Toronto Raptors, and the Raptors waiving him like that, instead of using his knowledge, his veteranship to try to coach up other players and teach them how to be better at ball, it's mad disrespectful. It's super disappointing on how the way that they treated him and let him go and not go out on his own terms, because in my opinion, I feel like he did not go out on his own terms. They kicked him out of the NBA and no one else wants him around, bro. And that's very, very sad for a player who gave up his all for all the time that he's been in the NBA. And he's been, like Young says, very high gratitude off the court and still while on the court. Yeah, maybe he could have been a pain in the butt in the locker room, but dude, honestly, if you are in any competitive environment and you are a true winner, that is going to happen. You're going to have arguments with your brothers on the team because eventually you guys become brothers and you're going to have disagreements, and you know, you just want to win. It's the competitive side that's coming out. But the way that they treated him, man, kicking him out the NBA, bro, I do not agree with it.
Chris Paul always struck me as like the adult in the room, even as a young guy, even whenever he was there. He always just seemed like the mature, grown man. His game was always grown man. Like he never seemed like he was, you know, too big. But I do want to bring this up, and I'm sure, Uriah, you're going to remember this one here too. A lot of people seem to almost forget, but in 2011, this deal got denied. And this is like a big part of his legacy here. So just as a recap, I had to Google it real quick to find out what it was real quick. But so in 2011, the Los Angeles Lakers were going to get Chris Paul, while the Hornets were going to get Lamar Odom, Kevin Martin, Luis Scola, and Goran Dragic. And the NBA denied this deal because they felt that the Hornets were not going to get enough back in return for Chris Paul. That would have changed everything for Chris Paul's trajectory, for the Lakers, for everything. Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant, I don't think there would have been any issues. They're both men in a room, without a doubt. So I don't think there would have been any issues on who's playing hard, who's not, who's practicing hard, or anything like that. But it's just wild whenever you look back on the deals that have happened now. Ergo, my favorite team, the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. How did that not get denied if Chris Paul For one player for 5 did it, and we got nothing back pretty much for it. And then Anthony Davis turns around and gets a bunch back for it. But having said that, different guy. Anyways, but yeah, I think that's a huge part of Chris Paul's legacy and Chris Paul as the player is that he was about to go to a team that possibly could have won a championship. If he would have been there, he might have been that missing piece and he would have had a ring, if not maybe 2. And I think that would have changed Kobe's career. That would have changed a lot of things if that trade would have actually went through. And I honestly, looking back on it, I don't think that's that bad of a trade, really, if you clear the players. I mean, Lamar Odom was at the time still pretty decent. Stoll was an underrated player. Kevin Martin was an emerging player. I don't think they realized what he was until later on. So I think that deal, although one player for that many guys seems on paper pretty bad, in the grand scheme of it, I think it actually would have worked out.
Yeah, it's David Stern. He threw a monkey wrench in that whole deal, and the NBA was, I think they were the owners of the Pelicans or the Hornets at the time. And as far as like you guys left out the other part of CP's legacy,
lockout too.
It was lockout. Listen, he gave us some of the greatest State Farm commercials with his characters, with the mustache. And look, the best one is when he's power walking. That was like a couple years ago. Look, great personality, great floor leader, like you said, Mike. And I am, now that I think about it, the way Mike framed it, I'm very disappointed that this is how he's going out. I think him being with Kobe, it would have been the best point guard in the league with the best shooting guard. I could see why the league would have been scared of them putting something together. They would have ran the table, even with Odom not there, because I think they still had Gasol, right, at the time.
It was 2011, so that makes sense, yeah.
And then the next year, Dwight came.
Yeah.
Well, that was also as a result of all that. Then he had the Steve Nash and Dwight debacle that never really panned out either, and that was all because of that Chris Paul trade didn't come to fruition. So that's a big moment in NBA history, really.
Huge.
Steve Nash was at the end of his career. Dwight Howard,
right?
He was still at his peak, but I guess like he probably didn't like the way that stuff was run with Kobe and all that stuff, because Kobe was another one that I've heard that wasn't really great at communicating. So it's like,
well, that's why I think that Chris Paul and Kobe would have worked perfectly, because they essentially are the same guy. That's why I was bringing that point, is that you're never going to have to say, hey, Kobe, you practicing? Or what was that about? Or something, where Dwight was like, hey, I missed the pass. And, but hey, I'm fun. I'm Superman, Kobe and Chris Paul, there would have never been none of that at all, So I think that would have been such a great dynamic. That would have been just fun for the fans to see as well, just to see those two guys out there. Because, think about it. In Kobe's time, Kobe had Derek Fisher and a bunch of other decent point guards. I would say no one that wasn't like horrible, but no one that was like an actual game-winning point guard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I think, and we'll be talking about this here in a couple of seconds here about the Hall of Fame, but Chris Paul, I don't think there's any kind of question, especially with the NBA's with the Hall of Fame. Chris Paul is first ballot, correct? There's no debating with that, just because.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's second all time in assists, I think.
Yeah. No, definitely. The way that the NBA just lets anybody in, he better be first.
Well,